So they sent me a couple of other toys to play with. One of them is That's What I Want. That's why to me, the V1. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I want to get into, here's a question that I get regularly when I post either the V1 Pro videos or I post the V1 Mid videos. Which one would I recommend? And just like I said in the previous video, where I was talking about the 35 to 100 and the 35 to 150, I don't like when videos make me wait until the end to give me the answer. So I'll give it to you guys right now. In my personal and professional opinion, I would go with the V1 Mid. It's a smaller flash, it's not as powerful, but overall, outweighing everything, no pun intended, I would go with this one over this one, and I'll explain to you guys why. Both of them are very capable flashes. You're not going to go wrong with either one of them. But to me, when I'm purchasing something, I try to think of what am I going to get the most use out of and what is going to make the most sense. And if I'm using X amount of dollars on one piece of equipment, what can I use the rest of the money that I saved on that for other equipment that will serve me in a different way? And that's a good segue to another video that we're going to be posting soon, which is shooting an entire wedding with the V1 Mid and an AD200. That also gives you pretty much the conclusion of what I want to convey in this video. It's not about this flash not being good. The V1 Pro is a really, really good flash. I'm going to get into it a little bit, but if you guys want to see a full breakdown on this flash, we posted a couple of videos actually. One of them is like a full breakdown. The other one is a behind the scenes. I think we posted like 3 or 4. So go ahead and check those videos out if you want to go really, really deep into every single detail. But I'm going to go over a few of the key things about each flash. So let's start with the V1 Pro. The very first thing that you're going to notice about this flash versus the V1 Mid is that it's not a touchscreen interface. This one is the old school buttons, and when you turn it on, there's no touchscreen. It's just, you know, your old school LCD, I guess, screen. And that is, to me, not necessarily a deterrent, but it does make things a little bit slower. These screens are definitely way more intuitive than they used to be back in the day. When we used to have the TT600, which is we still have, that thing is still running strong after like 10 years. There would be submenus or like the original AD100, like it was just hieroglyphics. Like you didn't know what the hell you were reading. It was very difficult. These, even though it's not a touchscreen, it's very easy to read. Right there you see sub, which sub is for the sub flash, which is this one. So you can control this little flash that's in the front that's going to throw a little bit of light forward independently from the flash that you're going to bounce up. And why would that be handy? Because even though the sub flash I do think it's a really nice, neat little feature, I don't want it to look completely like on-camera flash like that, unless that's a look that you're going for. And we did post a video where we did do that. However, if I don't want it to look like on-camera flash directly, but I do want it to fill a little bit, that's what this little guy is for. So you can control the intensity of the sub flash and you can control the intensity of the bounce flash independently, which is a sweet little feature. I do wish actually that they included it in this. It would make it, doesn't kill it, but it would make it a little bit of a plus, right? So you don't feel like you're missing out. Although it's not, it doesn't make or break it either way. It is just a nice little extra that they included. And if you don't want to use it, you can take it off so you're not carrying extra things, because that just slides right into, there. So that's that. This has 76 watts of power, which is decent. It's respectable. It has a modeling lamp that you can turn on and off. And here's one thing that, as I was doing this research, I found out. One thing that I figured out, or I found out doing the research for this video, is that this modeling lamp on the V1 Pro is around 3300 Kelvin, which is tungsten. The one on the V1 Mid is daylight. I do think that this one makes more sense. I'll explain why when I get to it on this one. On the V1 Pro, you get about 500 full power pops, and the recycling time is 1.3 seconds, which is very respectable. Let's go ahead and test that out. We're going to go mode. We're going to go full power. I mean, I'm not that meticulous, but check this out. It's going to be green, and then when I hit the flash, it's going to go red, and then it's going to go green again when it's ready again. So pretty quick, nothing to complain about there. You're not going to be shooting at full power, you know, at least I would think. You're not going to be shooting full power continuously, but it gives you a ton of full power flashes if you need them. And one thing that is nice about the V1 Pro is you can charge it, and while you're charging it, it'll still continue firing. So whether you have an external battery or if you plug it into a studio setting and you're flashing with it, you can charge it and it's shooting at the same time. You can't do it in this one. I'll show you guys why after. So that's pretty much an overview on this flash. Obviously, if you look at them side by side, it is significantly bigger. So let me try to line it up on the bottom so you guys can see. It is significantly bigger. Let me take off the bubbles. I'll explain why I had the Magma stuff in a second. So if you compare them side by side, it is a significant difference. So if weight is something that you are concerned about, that's where this thing comes into play. So we can move on to the V1 Mid now. Here's the thing. When you're starting photography, I think we can all agree with this. You want the biggest, you want the most powerful, you want the longest lens, the widest lens, pause. You want the biggest equipment possible because you feel like that's what makes you a professional. As you gain experience, as you shoot a lot more, you start to understand that the lightest possible setup that I can have that gives me quality results, that's what I want. That's why to me, the V1 Mid is the winner, because this gives me everything that I need. Do I want a little more power sometimes? Yes. There are times where I'm shooting in a reception and it's daylight still. So I'm still fighting a little bit of the daylight outside. It's still a little bit bright. And if I'm shooting this at 1/4 or 1/2 power, it does recycle a little bit slower if I'm not careful, if I'm shooting like a machine gun. But for the most part, 95% of the time, this is going to be enough. And that to me is worth not having to carry the extra weight of this one on top of my camera. I know that some of you guys, Joel, you mentioned that you have your battery grip, you have your flash, you have everything. And that to me, if you are okay with carrying all that extra weight, wonderful. For me, if we're shooting a 10-hour wedding or 8 hours, whatever, I don't feel like carrying something that's super heavy that's going to hurt my wrist the next day, and then I got to go and shoot another wedding that day. So I'm trying to save my back, my wrist, my neck, my back, every piece of my body. I'm trying to maintain it so I'm not hurting. So that's why this one is significantly more effective for what we do. And if you're a wedding photographer, that's why I recommend this one. This one paired with the AD200 is pretty much everything you need. Like I said, we filmed a video where we shot an entire wedding. At first, we were using this one as B, so this was our secondary flash. So if we needed a back flash, if we needed a little bit of fill, this was on a light stand. Once the reception came along, I took it off, I put it on my camera, and I was shooting with this on camera. So that's why the versatility of this one is really, really nice. As I mentioned in the V1 Pro, a few minutes ago, this one is a touchscreen. So this one is a lot easier to navigate. The menus are very easy to read. There's beep. So if you turn that on, tells you when it's recycled, you can turn on the modeling lamp. There it is. And this is one thing that was a little silly, in my opinion, because it's a daylight balanced modeling lamp as a photographer also, because I only shoot photo. I don't do video. So as a photographer, if I'm going to use a modeling lamp, more than likely I'm using the modeling lamp in the evening to either focus, or I'm using it to light up a scene if I just want to use just a modeling lamp, which I probably wouldn't. But more than likely, you want to be shooting with tungsten to either match the surroundings so you don't get, if your white balance is set to daylight, this is going to look correct, and then everything's going to look very warm around it. But if you set your white balance to tungsten to kind of neutralize the evening or inside of a room or whatever, now this is going to look blue because this is a daylight balanced modeling lamp. Now, could you put a CTO on this and change that? Yes, but in my opinion, I think for modeling lamps, and you guys tell me what you think, for modeling lamps, I do think a tungsten modeling lamp makes more sense, but whatever. Again, it's not a huge deterrent. I shoot with a SONY A7 IV, and the autofocus on that one is pretty spectacular. So in the evening, I don't necessarily need it, but I wanted to mention that to you guys, that is one difference between the two of them. Daylight balanced modeling lamp, tungsten balanced modeling lamp, if that matters to you guys. On this one, like I mentioned, you can't shoot and charge it at the same time because the charging on the battery is attached to the battery. and the battery port is not exposed. So on this one, the only USB-C thing that's exposed, it's on the side, but that's only to update your firmware. It's not to charge it. On the V1 Pro, you see it right there. You can see that the USB-C is on the battery, which, there we go, it slides right through. So now you got that hole right there. But that's where the battery is, so you can plug it in as you're shooting. So, you know, little benefit on this one. However, like I was saying, overall for me, the amount of power that I need, the consistency that I need, the recycling time that I need, which is 1.7 seconds on this one, it's enough for what we need. Are you going to run into a situation where you may need a little more power? It's possible, not likely. Because also keep in mind, guys, yes, sometimes you're shooting a reception and it's still the afternoon/evening, especially in the summertime. But most of the time, you're going to be shooting receptions in the evening. And if you're shooting in the evening, you're going to be shooting with your camera setting, with your ISO higher. We shoot receptions at 3200 ISO. We shoot them at 6400 ISO sometimes. There are some shots like the one that you're seeing right now. There's a shot that we do at Padua Hills where I want the starburst from the stage lights to look like starbursts. And the only way to do that is by shooting at f11 or f13. And it still looks clean. That's a whole other video that I want to make, is not being afraid of pushing your ISO, because these cameras, all of these, no matter what camera you use, if it's within the last 10 years, it's a very capable camera at high ISOs. So by the time you're using the V1 Mid at the reception, like some of the photos that you guys are seeing right now from last week, I'm shooting at 1600, 3200 ISO. So my flash power out of this is 1/16th, 1/32nd, 1/8 if I'm bouncing. But if I'm going straight on, I'm probably gonna be at like 1/128th, 1/64th power. And at that point, you guys are gonna hear the recycling time at when it's at let's do 1/128th, right? Listen. Oh wait, I have the beep off because I shut the beep off in case I'm shooting in a church, so it's not distracting. But let me turn it on. Listen. It's immediate. At 1/128th, even at, let's say, 1/4, listen. It's pretty much immediate. So if you're shooting at a higher ISO, if you're shooting at not half or full power, this thing is going to keep up more than what you could ever push it, in my personal opinion, because I even shoot this thing probably at a higher burst than a lot of photographers. So that's not a good thing. I'm not saying that that's a good thing. Our editors would definitely be happier if I didn't shoot at that speed. But in any case, another thing that both of these have is you can use the AKR1 kit from Godox. You can use this little round head kit that they sell, and it's not expensive at all. It's like, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks, I think. Versus if you use the Magmod equipment, which is more expensive, but does, and I've said this in previous videos, does feel a little bit more robust. And it does feel like it'll last a little longer. I'm putting it on right now, and you guys heard me struggling. Don't worry about putting it on and thinking you're gonna rip it. You're not. That's one thing that they constantly tell you at Magmod. So once you put that on, then you can attach Magmod equipment. The reason I use that is the AKR1 kit, the tungsten gel, is not completely dialed in. So if you get the AKR1 kit, which is completely fine, it's very acceptable, just make sure that you do the least translucent and the most translucent orange gel and put those together, and that brings you closer to 3200 Kelvin. The least translucent, so the one that looks more orange, you think it's a full CTO, it's gets you down to like 4000, 3800 Kelvin, so it's not particularly like right dialed into tungsten. So just a little thing. The Magmod stuff is very dialed in. So you put a CTO on, you go to 3200 Kelvin, it's going to be correct. So I just wanted to mention that. That's why, if you guys saw in the beginning, I had the Magmod attachment to the V1 Mid, because I use this one a little bit more. In any case, let me know what you guys think. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. Use whatever makes sense for you. But in my personal opinion, and considering we shoot dozens of weddings every single year, this just makes more sense. The weight, the power, the price, this is $179, this is $329, I believe. So we're talking about $150-ish difference. You can essentially get two of these for the price of this almost. So it's hard for me to recommend this one when this one will get the job done for most of you guys, most of us. Is this still a good flash? Hell yes. This is still a very good flash. But for me, I would go with the V1 Mid and get an AD200 to pair that. The AD200 will be during the day when you need a ton of power. the V1 Mid is when the sun is going down, when it's darker, and you don't need as much power. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this video. I know it's not super technical, so if you guys want to see more of the specs of the V1 Mid, of the V1 Pro, check out some of the videos that we posted. We go into it pretty deep. But yeah, go and check those videos out, and then let me know, guys, because Godox, they appreciate that you guys comment and you guys interact with our channel. So they sent me a couple of other toys to play with. One of them is the TT520 version 3. This one's a very basic flash. It comes with a remote, and it just works with a very simple wireless system, not the X3 Pro. I don't think it works with the X3 Pro or X3 or X Pro or any of those. I'll play around with this and show you guys what we think. They also sent the IM30 Pro, this is very similar to the IT30, but this one bounces. You can do bounce flash with this without having to buy a riser like you do with the IT30. However, with the IT30, you can use it as a transmitter and receiver, and I don't think you can do it with this. I think this is just S1 and S2. In any case, let me know which videos you guys want to see. I'll go ahead and play with these toys and give you guys our take. In any case, if you guys enjoy our content, if you guys get value out of our videos, feel free to subscribe, guys. We're trying to hit 25,000 in the next month or two. I think we're just about to hit 20,000 in the next week if we haven't hit it already. And I appreciate every single one of you for giving me your time and watching our videos. All right. I hope you guys have a great week.